every single time we're watching the football, it's before the match, half-time, end of the match. Oh, here he is again.
Oh, is it getting tedious now?
Yeah. We sell any car.
anycar.com.
So you've got no one who you're speaking to at the moment? No?
Why are you looking at me like that when you're staring at?
I'm just saying you're looking mighty fine in your older age. You're like a fine wine, aren't you?
Get him another glass of wine, by the way.
Just to let everyone know out there, I'm single. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football. It's the Q&A episode and we're all in the same room.
At last.
In my kitchen. Alan Shearer and Micah Richards are right here with me.
You've cooked again today, haven't you, Gary?
Nice again, wasn't it?
What did you have today? What did you cook? What was it called?
Oh, you ate it.
Well, what was it called? I want to get the correct name.
Well, there's about 15 people here today, so I cooked for everyone. So I had to do and also within doing lots of podcasts. So I did, and there was a few veggies here, a couple of vegans. So I did a vegan, I just kind of made it up. It's like mixed beans, tomatoes, mushrooms, lots of goodies in there. It's basically a mixed bean stew.
It's amazing, wasn't it?
Well, it was bloody lovely.
Well, thank you very much.
And the wine
and
as
the wine
well.
was nice as well.
Sorry if we're a little loud today. We've been on the Vino, haven't we?
We've had a couple of glasses.
That was a little Rioja, which was...
went down well.
Yeah, this should make this podcast a little bit more lively with a little bit of luck. Let's start because thanks again for sending all your questions in. We've got hundreds of them. We can't get through them all, but we'll do as many as we possibly can. Let me start with, here's one. During your times working with international players, do they bring their own culinary tastes and preferences into the team environment? And out of all the teammates you've had, who would you say is the best cook? I'm fishing for compliments.
There you go.
That was from Ben Richards. Thanks, Ben. Go on then.
Best cook?
Yeah.
As a teammate?
Yeah, no one ever cooks. That's what I was going to say. No one ever cooks, do they? Ever?
No one ever cooks.
Do you cook?
Not a chance. Do I look like I can cook?
No.
No, exactly. I can't
No,
cook.
but when you play, it's kind of, you're nearly always hotels. It's and the clubs nowadays, there'll be cuisine. I presume they'll have the resident cook in there. I mean, it wasn't like that back in the day. We never got fed at all. But yeah, and then when you go way big tournaments in England, they take a chef.
Top chefs.
Top decent chefs, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So no, I'm sorry. I don't know any player that I can remember that cooked. I mean, I only started cooking about 7 years ago. But,
what made you start cooking?
Well, I was single again, and I got sick of takeaways and going out to dinner all the time, sometimes on my own, and I thought, get a grip, learn to cook. Best thing I ever did, honestly. Genuinely love it. It's really good. It's switch off, it's cathartic.
So you've got no one who you're speaking to at the moment now? In a single life?
Why are you looking at me like that when you're staring at?
I'm just saying you're looking mighty fine in your older age. You're like a fine wine, aren't you? You're aging well.
Get him another glass of wine, by the way.
Just to let everyone know out there, I'm single. Very much so.
But whoever you're going to meet is going to have to get up and give you your meds and tuck you in a bed and have your hot water bottle. It's like, well, hell, that's so attractive.
Oh.
Sorry.
Dear. Change my catheter. Here's a question from David Cullen. When did you know it was time to retire? Retire from what? I'm not sure. I think he means football. God, when you slowed down. I remember I went to Japan, which was kind of semi-retirement, I suppose. But then I injured my foot and I was out for ages. And then I came back after about 10 months without playing. And there was a through ball went through and I'd always run past that defender and the defender ran past me. I thought, I've had enough, I'm out. You are?
Something similar. It just used to take me so long to recover. I mean, after a game on a Saturday, I could hardly move for 2 or 3 days. Yeah. My body was a mess, my ankles and knees, and I was thinking, what am I doing here? I'd already lost a yard of pace anyway, and I always wanted to get out to nearest to the top as possible after being lucky enough to play.
What's it like losing a yard of pace when you haven't got much pace?
That is it. I was reasonably quick.
Yeah.
And there was a time, in my last game, or my last season, I should say, we went to play in the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, and we had a game at Grimsby, and it was down, cold, wet. I think it was October, November night, and there was a centre half who was giving me so much shit. Justin Whittle, I think his name was. He was mouthing away at me. And then, foolishly, I walked straight into his elbow, and he tried to do me, and he did me a proper one, and he cut all my lip. My lip was ripped wide open, and it was one of those, I'll see you in the tunnel at half time, I'll fucking have you. And then I realised the size of him when I got to the tunnel, and I was thinking, come and help me, lads. So then, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing playing this last season? And then I got in the dressing room, and I've broke my ankle and ruptured my knee and everything, but the doctor couldn't give me any anaesthetic, so he stitched my lip 6 stitches without any anaesthetic, and I was screaming like a baby, and every time the needle went into my lip, and I got the 6 stitches and went in the second half, and we won 1-0, and I scored, and I said, "Fuck you."
Micah, I mean, you're relatively young. How old were you when you finished?
I finished officially, I think it was 31, but really it was 29. I don't know if I've done this story before, but we was away. So think of my career. We talked about how much I burst on the scene. And we have a bit of a laugh with it and all that sort of thing. But like at Man City, I was always in top 3 picks. When you're playing and training, and you play 5-a-side or 7-a-side, whatever. I was always top 3 picks. Went to Fiorentina, I was probably like top 5 picks. So we go away with Aston Villa pre-season.
You play at Fiorentina, did you?
Never mentioned it. We go away, Aston Villa. And bear in mind, Aston Villa are not even a great team. We've got like probably 5 or 6 youngsters coming in, and we've got the first team. And
don't tell me you were last pick.
I remember it was
last pick.
The thing is though, it wasn't even 5-a-side. It was like 9-a-side. So like we've got 2 captains, and like whoever's like looking after the session, you're thinking, I want to be captain here. I don't want to get embarrassed. You put 2 people captain, like 2 younger lads, and honestly, pick one goes, all right, pick 2, 3, 4, gets to about 10. We're halfway through now at this point. And I'm thinking, like, have I not seen my career? I've won a Premier League, I've won a FA Cup, I burst on the scene. And I'm not exaggerating, I was last.
Not last pick. That's time to retire.
It was time. And it's one of those where it's not just end, it's like, it continues into the dressing room. Oh, Micah's last pick. It's just, that was demoralising.
Humiliating.
So that's what I knew.
Time to go.
It was time to go.
Well, you're not last pick on this podcast. That's Alan. Question from James O'Coop. Bex had to dress up as a gladiator as part of his Pepsi sponsorship. The question is, have you had any weird requests from sponsors or clubs when still actively playing?
Done a couple of ads and Lucas Aid and McDonald's and a couple others, but that was my one thing, is that you're not making me look a fool dressing me up like a prat.
Yeah, well, you do that for yourself.
Correct.
Lucas Aid and McDonald's?
Yeah.
So did you give us a lingo? What was it? I just remember you're pulling
Fluid and energy fast, you're always ahead of the game.
Do that again.
Fluid and energy fast, you're always ahead of the game.
He must have had to do that 100 times because he's remembered it.
Fluid and energy fast, you're always ahead of the game.
Lucas Aid Sport.
I've never done any advert.
Hey!
Well, we'll get to you in just a minute. What about you? What was your McDonald's jingle?
The McDonald's one was, used to kick a ball against these walls as a kid in the streets. So
I remember that. I remember you in that one.
Walking across the bridge in Newcastle early in the morning.
So what was the one where you used to go to the drive-through and order a burger?
That was it. That was the same one, yeah.
You look like a right helmet.
Thanks.
Anyway, Gaz,
Well,
I'm sure you've got a few.
I don't know.
Speaking of dressing up as a...
fucking smart. Oh, I've done a few.
A few?
I've done over 150 for walkers.
Is that how many you've done?
Yeah, I know. With some big stars, big people.
Who's the biggest star?
I did the Spice Girls, couple with them. Lionel Richie did a couple.
That's all night long.
Gordon Ramsay.
All of the Spice Girls.
We're dancing on the ceiling.
All of the Spice Girls, or just
All four.
All four? There's 5 of them. You idiots!
That was way back. Who else? Oh, I've done loads. Michael
Ka-ching.
Owen.
How much money have you got, by the way?
On me.
150 adverts.
You just
It's been good.
you're filthy rich, aren't you? Look, he's going red. Where's the camera get on his face?
I've been divorced twice.
He's lost a half and another half.
But anyway, tell us about these ads, Gary. Come on.
Yeah. No, the first one was came back from Japan, and they had this idea to do a welcome home advert in Leicester. It was like a 3-day. They used to be hugely long shoots back then, and came back to Leicester, and they had this idea of, because that goody nonsense about never having a yellow card. They wanted to turn this thing no more Mr. Nice Guy. So I was going to be the guy who steals the crisps. So they had this little kid, and I basically was going to follow him around and then steal his packet of crisps off him and run away. And we did one of the scenes out. So they did it all across Leicester, and they did one of the scenes outside this station. And there was loads of people gathering as we were filming. And I was just about to do another take. And this little old lady came up, and she came over. She went, "Ooh, you're Gary Lineker, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." So she goes, "So what's happening here? Are they expecting someone special?" Completely put me in my place.
Brilliant.
Beautifully done. But no, I've had some.
You've got more than that, though. There's a Japanese one, was there?
I did 2 or 3 in Japan. Yeah.
What
Go kikimasu.
What does that mean?
It was. I had no idea. Can't remember. Yeah. So, Mikey, what commercials? You've done a few.
Nothing much.
You are on every commercial I see on Sky Sports. Every single time we're watching the football, it's before the match, half time, end of the match. Oh, here he is again.
Oh, is it getting tedious now?
Yeah. We sell any car.
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Go on,
We buy it any car, actually.
So you've got to sell it to buy it.
What is it? How does it go?
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
We know it, and he doesn't. We've heard it so much.
That's the other guys. That's not me.
That's you.
So how much money have you got?
I've got plenty. I'm not afraid to say it.
I need a break. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. I've got lots of questions. Let's try and get through them. Andrew Henderson asks, "Hi Gary and the lads, what is the best shirt any of you have swapped with another opposing player? And has anyone ever said no to the swap? Maybe because you bossed them too much in the game, etc. Keep up the good work, lads. We'll try." It's funny, I think we were asked something similar not that long ago, and I couldn't think of anyone. And then my stepdaughter, I saw her in Barcelona. She was studying there, and she was wearing a Brazilian top, a blue Brazilian top, that she'd sneaked out of my cupboards at some point and was wearing it, and he had a number 9 on the back. And
No way.
And yeah, it was one of my swap shirts, and it was fine. And I thought, I wonder who that was. And I found the game which England played at Wembley in that blue shirt, and the number 9 was Correca. Right. It was a proper player. Yeah. So that's my answer to that question. Can you not remember Correca?
You know, I'm only 35.
Oh, all right.
Correca. You're saying it, but the average listener is 35.
Even Gary's fucking stepdaughter knew who Correca was.
Oh my gosh. No, sorry.
Sorry about that. He was proper centre forward.
Was he?
Yeah. Got 5 goals, I think, in 86. Nearly won the Golden Boot. Can't remember who was first. He got the same number as Diego Maradona. He was quite good. But anyway.
No,
you wouldn't. Who's going to swap shirts with big... Everyone probably wanted to swap
Everyone
shirts
wanted my shirt, but I wasn't giving it up.
Did you ever say no? That's what I was asking. You ever say no?
No.
Well, it's funny enough. I did say no to someone, and I didn't know I said no to someone, but it was Pep Guardiola.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't a player. I wasn't playing against him, but when I went to interview him, and this is true, the first time I'd ever interviewed him was when he just joined Manchester City, and we sat down to chat. And he went, right, before we start, he said, I used to be the ball boy at the Nou Camp, and he said, for every game, at the end of the game, I always used to come up to you and ask you for your shirt, and you never gave it to me.
Yeah.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm that old that in those days you only got one shirt, and you weren't allowed to. They didn't want you to give it away. So that was why. So I had to apologise to him.
So you pied Pep?
Yeah, it's quite good though, isn't it? Yeah.
I got quite a few.
Yeah.
Got Lothar Matthäus lasting Germany shirt.
What a great player, Lothar Matthäus.
Got Roberto Carlos.
Can I have it?
Del Piero. Beckham.
You got Beck's shirt?
Got Beckham one, yeah. Got Rooney. Yeah, got quite
Well,
a
do you
few.
keep them anywhere? Do you? I can't
in a
find
black
mine.
bag somewhere in the loft, yeah.
Oh dear. Matthew Cox says, this is for Alan Shearer. Henri talked about being scared before some games. Alan had a reputation for mental strength. So was he ever scared before any games? If so, which one? He's talking about, obviously, Thierry Henry. There we did a special episode, and we've got another one coming up on Friday, so make sure you listen to that as well, because it was really good, really heartfelt and warm.
I don't think I was ever scared. No, I think I'm scared.
Nervous, maybe.
Maybe excitedly nervous. There were times when I was, maybe because I was going out with an injury, I didn't want to make it worse. That was the only time I would have been scared, whether I was with a back injury or knee. There's so many times I went out injured, gambling whether I was going to make it worse or not. But I wouldn't say that I was scared of the game or the opposition or anything like that, no. But excited, yeah, not scared. Okay.
Connor Larson wants to know, what is the funniest interview moment you've had as a player? Now, I'm definitely going to Micah for this one.
My gosh.
When you were 17 years old?
Yeah, but can we give it some context to this?
Yes.
Because it was FA Cup. Was it like, it might have been last 16, something like that. And I'm 17, and we're losing the game.
Philbert doesn't believe it at this point. It's coming in.
Oh yeah, and we're losing the game, and we had loads of chances within the game. And then last minute, I score that famous header where everyone says, when I dive into the crowd, I hug the City fans, and it's a crazy moment. But then Garth Crooks is interviewing me afterwards, and he asked me a daft question like, how does that feel? How the do you think it feels? I'm 17, adrenaline's going through the roof.
And what did you say?
I said, I just can't. Okay, it wasn't F. The F was not used.
You kind of fudged it a bit.
It was like, okay. I was like, okay. And what was his words he used? He used something like, you do know you're live on TV, Micah, so just watch it. I was like, it just spoilt the moment.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it worry you when you got caught?
No. Well, my mum gave me a bit of grief.
You know what a great risk? You should have come back with, oh God.
That would have been brilliant.
Then we threw to you, didn't we? In the studio.
I was asked to apologise on the BBC's behalf for any language.
What did you say?
I said something quite posh. I don't know. I can't remember what I said. I said some. I did. I remember. Yeah, apologies, but one day I'll be doing a podcast with him, so I don't give.
Brilliant.
Oh dear. Hamza says, what was the most outrageous thing a manager has said at a pre-match half-time team talk? So, playing for Tottenham, it was the last season that I was at Spurs, so my third season there. Terry Venables had been the coach for the first 2 seasons. Then he went upstairs to be kind of owner, if you like, director of football sort of thing. And we were playing Wimbledon away, and Peter Shreve was in charge, who was Terry's number 2 before that. And he was lovely, and he was a really good coach. As a manager, I think he was probably a number 2, really. And he came in, but he was kind of softly spoken, and he had kind of slightly high pitched Cockney accent, but he, I never heard him give a to anyone. So I think we're playing Wimbledon, and I think we're away from home, and that awful little dressing rooms there, and we were about 3 down at half time. We were getting battered. We were awful, and I thought to myself, for once, he's going to have to unleash it. He's going to get stuck in and give us a real bollocking. And he went. So he got everyone sat down. He goes, "Well, boys, we don't appear to be all singing from the same song sheet." And that was about all he said.
I remember Chris Nicholl once at half-time in the Southampton dressing room. Tim Flowers had let a goal in from about 30 yards, and he come in the dressing room at half-time. He said, "I'm sending you for a fucking eye test tomorrow. I'm booking the appointment myself, and you're going for an eye test because it's impossible you should get a beat from that distance."
Shane Morris, who was the best captain you've ever played for, and what made them special? You don't have to say me, Alan.
Yeah, you were my captain. Yeah, you were.
For England. Very briefly.
Well, I'm going to have to say Tim Sherwood when we won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Why wasn't you captain then?
I was only a youngster.
How old was you when
he 23, 24, something like that. Yeah.
His prime. He was in his prime. Do you know what? I might say Brian Robson, obviously, up with England, but club-wise, I think I'm going to go Gary Mabbott.
Really?
Inspirational. What he went through to play the game was, he was my roommate, and he's such a top guy. During COVID, he just ran, he was kind of ringing football fans, like Tottenham fans, like people that were on their own every day, like hours a day. Amazing guy. Tottenham through and through, brilliant captain. And what he went through to play, he was obviously really bad diabetic.
Yeah.
And they told him he would never be able to play football, but he surmounted that, went on to play, injected himself like three times a day. A couple of, funny stories when he had, they have what they call the lows or something, where their sugar levels drop. And it makes them behave almost like they're completely pissed. And I didn't really know all this. And I was rooming, we were in pre-season training in Scandinavia somewhere. And I came back to the room, and he was kind of dancing and singing a song and lifting up the bedclothes like this and going, I can't remember what song he was singing, but it was some weird thing. And I went, "Mabsy, you hammered?" And he's going, da, da, da. And he kept going, da, 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 da. And I thought, nah, this is a little bit weird. So there's something going on here. And then I suddenly twigged. I thought this might be part of the diabetic thing. And I got in touch with the doctor and stuff. And they came in and gave him some chocolate and sugar or something, and a fizzy drink or something. And he was absolutely fine. But what, to go through that, injecting yourself daily, and he hardly ever missed a game. And he was proper player.
I had Jimmy Case at Southampton as well when I was a youngster. I've never seen someone gain more respect and be a bit scared of him, really, because he had this aura about him, being a hard guy, being at Liverpool and Southampton and what. He was great with all the youngsters coming through. So Jimmy was great at Southampton as well. You, Micah?
I'll have to say Sir Vincent Kompany, just for what he did. It was a bit boring off the field. I'm not going to lie.
What, you mean he didn't go out and spend 10 grand on champagne? Or
No, boring. But on the pitch, he was inspirational. Fantastic.
Last question this week from Greg Connors. What is the worst injury you've ever seen on a pitch? Ooh, you've had a couple of tasty ones yourself.
Yeah, I had a couple of bad ones. I think I ruptured my cruciate ligament, but I think the worst one I had was actually in a pre-season friendly when I snapped my ankle. Displaced it, displaced a joint, broke 2 bones, pointing in the wrong direction, chipped a bone. So
a bit like the Chris Basham one this weekend.
Yeah, we saw a terrible one at the weekend, didn't we?
Awful.
Unfortunately for Chris Basham, we do send him our best wishes. He's had a couple of operations and got a couple more to go, so I know how he feels. So we do send him a speedy recovery, and we hope he makes a full one. So it is horrible, you know. I mean, whether it's to you, us as individuals, or whether our teammate, it does affect you on a pitch, doesn't it? If you see a particularly bad one, when someone's there in agony, because after all, we're all in the game that we love, and we all want to beat each other and kick each other and do whatever, but you never ever want to see anyone have a serious injury. We accept that injuries are part and parcel of football, but the injuries are horrible, the serious ones that are going to keep you out for months, perhaps even years, and some guys don't even come back from them. And I know that after certainly my second and third serious injury that I had, I did lose a yard of pace because of that. So Chris, if you're listening or you're out there, then we send you our best wishes.
Yeah, echo those sentiments.
Well said, Alan.
Yeah, a good way to finish, I think. Good luck, Chris.
Yeah.
And just before we go, a quick reminder that part 2 of the Thierry Henry episode will be out on Friday. There was a lot of love for the first one. I think you'll like the second one just as much. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Cheers.